Death is pretty rare in Goosebumps. While the series does feature things like ghosts and zombies, you hardly ever see someone actually die. However, after some research, I discovered a handful of times people got the axe in Goosebumps. I have a few rules though. 1. The characters have to look like humans. They can technically be monsters, but they need to look more like this and less like this. 2. Things like someone being written out of existence don't count. These have to be on-screen deaths. Lastly, to keep it simple, and to make it a bit more challenging for me, I'm only going to be talking about deaths that happened in the TV show. Alright, now let's begin. An Old Story is easily one of the weirdest Goosebumps episodes, for a lot of reasons. Two brothers, Tom and John, start rapidly aging after their Aunt Dahlia gives them prunes to eat. Towards the end of the episode, Tom grabs a pitcher of prune juice and throws it at his aunt's face. The liquid causes her to age so much, she becomes nothing but a skeleton before being reduced to dust. An Old Story is bizarre enough, but this is arguably one of the most disturbing moments in Goosebumps. When the prune juice hits Aunt Dahlia's face, it looks like her skin melts, which makes this death even more graphic. This isn't the sort of thing you'd expect from Goosebumps, and it's made even stranger considering it's tucked away in a pretty weird episode. A much more classic Goosebumps episode, but still a creepy one, is A Girl Who Cried Monster. In it, Lucy discovers that the local librarian, Mr. Mortman, is actually a monster. She tries to convince her parents, but they refuse to believe her. Things get even tenser when Lucy's mom and dad invite Mr. Mortman over for dinner, but in classic Goosebumps fashion, there's a twist. The parents turn out to be monsters too, and they then proceed to eat Mr. Mortman alive. The scene isn't that graphic, but it is kind of amazing that a children's show would do something like this. Lucy's parents then tell her and her brother that they needed to kill Mr. Mortman to prevent him from telling anyone monsters are real. They don't explain why they had to eat him though. In the episode Monster Blood, Evan is staying with his Aunt Catherine, who warns him of a forbidden room in the house. In traditional horror story fashion, Evan and his friend Andy decide to check it out. They open a jar of green goo called Monster Blood, which starts growing into an uncontrollable size. Opening the jar also releases a black cat, which eventually turns out to be a woman named Sarah Beth. She plans to use the Monster Blood to destroy the main characters, but gets interrupted by Evan's dog Trigger, who ate some Monster Blood earlier. Trigger's gigantic barking causes Sarah Beth to fall backward and get pulled in by the Monster Blood. You could argue that Sarah Beth just became trapped by the Monster Blood like she did originally. However, unlike the first time, the Monster Blood completely vanishes after absorbing her, so I think it's safe to say that the slip-up cost Sarah Beth her life. In Attack of the Mutant, Skipper Matthews discovers that his favorite comic book character, the Masked Mutant, has escaped into the real world. After a long series of events, Skipper goes to the mutants' headquarters, where he confronts the supervillain. Before the Masked Mutant can destroy Skipper, the protagonist convinces the mutant that he's a superhero called the Colossal Elastic Boy. Skipper then tricks the Masked Mutant into transforming into sulfuric acid, which kills the mutant, since he can't change back. The villain ends up melting feet first into the floor, until there's nothing left but his costume. This is a pretty lame way for a villain to die, since he basically just killed himself, but at least he isn't the first Goosebumps character to melt. One of the creepiest episodes of Goosebumps is Stay Out of the Basement. Brother and sister, Casey and Margaret, start getting worried about their freaky scientist dad. The siblings' father is working on plant experiments in their basement, but something just doesn't seem right. Once Casey and Margaret begin investigating, they find an identical copy of their dad, trapped inside a closet. They then realize the man locked away is their real father, and a half-man, half-plant clone has been impersonating him. Margaret then sprays the imposter with weed killer, and he evaporates into a pile of foliage. Well, that's one way to get rid of an evil clone. Are there any other deaths in Goosebumps that I didn't talk about? Let me know in the comments. And also check out the annotation on the right to watch another nightmare-fueled entertainment video. With that, I'm Zach, and have a spooky day.